Welcome to the Knovada Human Resources Management System, a system that provides your company with the capability to manage and administer the complete employee life cycle for your human resources organization. This presentation will focus on the payroll module with biometric integration. With the Knovada payroll system, the organization can automate their entire payroll processing as an integrated component of the Knovada Human Resources Management System. Accessing the payroll information of each employee in the HRMS, the payroll system calculates gross pay for each employee, which includes salary or hourly wage information together with specific benefits such as mobile phone allowance, automobile allowance, and others you require. The deductions are calculated based upon the tax regulations of the specific country, with the final calculation being the net pay for the employee. Once the payroll processing is completed, the payroll information for each employee can be exported into an Excel spreadsheet, Word document or PDF. Print individual time slips, or transfer funds via direct deposit. When integrated with biometric and/or badge readers, employees' timesheet information is used when payroll. The payroll module with biometric integration provides access to the organization biometric devices, which records attendance data. The payroll module uploads this attendance data to the payroll module for processing payroll. The payroll module provides the capability to calculate gross pay, allowances, deductions, applicable taxes and net pay for both employees and casual workers. In this presentation, we will discuss the following: biometric device configuration, associating the attendance data collected by the biometric devices with the individual casual or hourly employee, how to upload attendance data to the payroll module, payroll processing, exception reporting, generating time slips, banking transfer for payroll funds, biometric configuration. To create the configuration for the biometric integration module, the payroll administrator would sign into the work schedule display information. The work schedule display information provides biometric and/or badge reader integration information. By selecting yes and integrate with badge reader indicates the organization wishes to integrate the biometric devices with the payroll module. The number of biometric or badge readers should also be selected at this time. The number of biometric or badge readers can be changed as the need arises. Selecting yes and allow badge reader to be uploaded indicates the organization wants to upload the Excel spreadsheet created by the biometric or badge reader device to the payroll module. Instructions for uploading this data are discussed later in this presentation. The organization can select the number of days to keep the uploaded files. The reader default access type can be set to entry, exit, or both entry and exit. The reader device default work schedule code name is the field value that associates the data from the biometric device as attendance data to be processed for payroll. The recommended code is biometric timesheets. Once yes is selected to integrate with badge reader, the administrator should then select work schedule display information from the main menu. The administrator should then select badge reader settings to enter biometric or badge reader device settings. The fields displayed provide the information required to identify the device: serial number, IP address, access type, and the work schedule code we discussed earlier in this presentation. If more than one device reader was set, then the administrator will be able to enter the information for all of the biometric badge readers. The next topic we will discuss is how to upload biometric event data. The biometric device maintains a database of event data. The administrator would periodically sign into this biometric device database and select export event log data, which will create an Excel spreadsheet which will be saved to a designated customer computer. As we discussed earlier in this presentation, the option to allow the badge reader to be uploaded has been set to yes, which means the Excel spreadsheet created by the biometric vendor can be uploaded to the HRMS server. Only those staff members who have been designated as timesheet administrators are authorized to upload this data. To initiate the upload process, A timesheet administrator would sign into the HRMS employee site. Selecting work schedule would display the sign-on information for the administrator to enter their first name, last name and password. After signing into the HRMS employee site, the administrator would select Enter Timesheet Information. This timesheet screen is used for multiple purposes. For our presentation, we will focus on the Upload option. Uploading the biometric badge reader event data. Please note that the biometric event data is now identified by timesheets once this data is uploaded to the HRMS payroll module. Selecting Upload Biometric Badge Reader Event Data will display the pop-up screen to select the Excel file which had been exported to the customer computer discussed earlier. Choose the file and select Upload Device XLS file to upload the Excel spreadsheet. It is recommended that the upload process be done on a scheduled basis. For example, weekly or bi-monthly, which would provide the opportunity for the organization to perform periodic trial payroll runs on the event data which will identify exceptions such as time and stamp for an employee but no corresponding timeout stamp. This would also provide sufficient time to resolve these exceptions before the final payroll run is processed. We will discuss the process to resolve these exceptions later in this presentation. The next topic we will discuss is payroll processing. The only tab used to process payroll is the Payroll tab on the HRMS administration site. Once the administrator has signed into the HRMS administration site, the administrator should click on the Update Payroll sub-tab. When an employee is hired by the organization, their payroll information is entered into the HRMS database. When an employee or casual worker has a change to their payroll information such as increase in the monthly salary, an increase to their hourly wage or a bonus is awarded, the Update Payroll sub-tab would be used to enter this information. The payroll administrator has the ability to update payroll for a specific employee or can update all employees in a department. Should a bonus for an employee be awarded, the payroll administrator would use the Update Payroll sub-tab to remove this bonus figure after the final payroll run has been processed. Should a bonus be awarded for a department, both employees and casual workers in that department would receive the bonus and the administrator would use the Update Payroll sub-tab remove this bonus figure after the final payroll run has been processed. The organization selects the end date for each pay period for the year through the Payroll Date sub-tab. In our example, the payroll period end date for October to December 2017 is the last working day of the month as indicated by the white check mark on the date. The payroll dates likewise indicate the time span for the biometric event data timesheets to be used for processing payroll. For example, the pay period end date for October is October 31st. The pay period end date for November is November 30th. When processing payroll for the pay period of November 30th, the timesheets for November 1st through November 30th would be processed. Employees on the salary are not required to have event data recorded by the biometric device time in and timeout as the payroll module calculates the time slip amount for the pay period unless the employee on the salary is allowed to get overtime pay. For these salary employees who are allowed to get overtime pay, the employee would have their event data recorded by the biometric device so the payroll module can calculate the overtime hours for the salaried employees. An alternative to having the salaried employees who are entitled to get overtime pay required to have their event data recorded would be to have the overtime pay be identified as a bonus for the pay period by using the Update Payroll sub-tab that was discussed earlier. Since the payroll dates for this presentation were previously entered, we will select Submit Payroll Dates information to demonstrate when timesheets must be submitted for payroll processing. After the payroll dates have been updated, we would select the Update Timesheet Submit Dates. For purposes of this presentation, we have previously entered the specific dates when the timesheets should be submitted for payroll processing. This date will determine when the employee payroll will be processed and time slips being submitted for payment based upon the procedures established by the organization such as paper checks being printed, funds transferred to a centralized banking facility for distribution to the designated bank of each employee. In our example, we have chosen one day after the payroll period end date to submit the timesheets for payroll processing. The next topic we will discuss is how to update payroll display information. Selecting the Payroll Display Information sub-tab provides two views for displaying payroll information. Selecting Main Payroll View will list those fields which contain basic payroll information such as salary or hourly wage, overtime differentials, and employee identification information. Selecting Payroll Processing View provides options for displaying additional payroll information required for processing payroll with the payroll module such as allowances, country tax tables, and for entering instructions to the centralized bank. Now we will discuss how to administer the payroll tax table. Selecting the Payroll Tax Table sub-tab will display the tax tables associated with the country where the organization is located. In our example, we are displaying one of the two tax tables, which is the standard percentage-based tax table. The other tax table being the NHIF tax table. Should any of the variables change in these tax tables, the administrator has the ability to update the entries. We will now discuss the Employee Banking sub-tab, which contains the banking information for each employee. There are options for the method of payment to the employee and the option to have 3 bank accounts with the ability to have deposits made to each of the 3 accounts. The next topic we will discuss is payroll processing. To start the payroll processing, we will select Process Payroll sub-tab. The months of January through October are displayed when processing payroll. In the full display, however, all payroll dates for the year up to and including the current month in which the payroll process is run will be displayed. For example, if the pay period for August was selected to process payroll and the date the payroll was processed for August was actually in September, the September payroll date would appear as shown in the display. The organization has the option to process payroll for individual employees by using the drop-down box in the box entitled Select the Employee to Process. Can select by employee type, all employees, casual, only or standard, only. Special processing dates can likewise be entered should an organization choose to process a special payroll run for a date span within a payroll period. For example, July 1st and July 15th rather than using the payroll period July 1st and July 31st. Note that if this special processing run is actually used for processing payroll and transmitting this payroll information to the centralized bank and creating time slips, another special processing run must be processed for the remaining days of the payroll period. In our example, the special processing run would be for July 16th through July 31st. The organization can likewise change the banking instructions for this special processing run. Subsequent payroll processing runs will revert back to the default script created in the payroll processing display view we discussed earlier. For this presentation we have selected the payroll date of June 30th, 2017. Once the administrator has made all necessary selections, they can scroll to the bottom of the page and click on the Process Payroll button. Selecting Process Payroll will create the payroll report. Due to the width of this report, only the first 10 columns of the report are displayed. As we discussed earlier, it is recommended that the biometric event data be uploaded on a periodic basis. It is likewise recommended that the payroll process be run on a periodic basis throughout the payroll period, which will provide the opportunity to review the timesheet data being processed for the payroll with sufficient time to correct any discrepancies such as a time in stamp, but no timeout stamp. We will discuss how to identify and resolve such discrepancies later in this presentation. We strongly recommend that the organization inform those employees who are paid on an hourly basis that it is very important to use the biometric devices to record their work time. Failure to do so may result in either not being paid for this work time or being paid an incorrect amount. For salaried employees who are entitled to overtime, it is important that such workers use the biometric devices to record their work time. Otherwise their overtime pay cannot be calculated. As we discussed earlier, salaried employees who are not allowed to receive overtime pay do not have to use the biometric devices to record their time. With the assumption that the above payroll run is correct for the payroll date of June 30, 2017, the administrator would select the export type to use Excel, HTML, Word, PDF or send to printer and select export data. In our example, we will select Excel, which will provide the instructions to download and save the file on the organization's local computer. The file created by the export data for this final payroll processed run is the document which is transmitted to the central bank, which includes the instructions on how to process the enclosed payroll information. We will now discuss payroll reports. There are a number of payroll reports available in the payroll module. Selecting the Payroll Reports subtab will display the reports available in the payroll module. The payroll report has itemized details which comprise the calculation of net pay. The payroll report contains the summary of basic salary, gross pay, total deductions, tax relief and net pay. The payroll report detail will provide the same detailed information as displayed in the listing created when processed payroll is selected, as discussed previously. There are budget impact reports which can be used for budget planning by department or supervisor. Determining the impact for percentage increases in payroll and the impact of awarding bonuses. Selecting the biometric badge device exception report provides the administrator the ability to select specific report dates for an employee, or all employees, or all casual hourly workers in the organization, which will display their attendance data recorded by the biometric devices for this reporting period. We have selected the June pay period, which is 1 June to 30 June, as the report dates. We have left the remaining display fields blank, which means we want to process this report for all employees and casual workers. Selecting Submit selections will display the employees who have an exception in the biometric data recorded and the date of that exception. For example, Roy 3 has one biometric time entered for June 7, 2017. The recorded time being 11:56:14 p.m. Since the biometric device being used by Roy 3 organization is a single device that records entry and exit device, we cannot accurately determine if Roy 3 has a stamp in time of 11:56:14 p.m. or a stamp out time of 11:56:14 p.m. If a biometric device is classified as an entry only or exit only, this report would identify which time stamp applies. The timesheet administrator. Perhaps with discussions with the worker supervisor and, in our example, Roy 3, to determine the action which should be taken on resolving this exception, such as defining the single time entry for Roy 3 as a stamp in time and entering an agreed upon time out time, or defining the single time entry for Roy 3 as a stamp out time and entering an agreed upon stamp in time. In our example, we will assume that Roy 3 had a timeout time of 11:56:14 p.m. on June 7, 2017, and so the corrective action required is to enter the correct start time. Based upon discussions with Roy 3, it was determined that Roy 3 actually had a time of 10 a.m. on June 7, 2017. To resolve this exception, the administrator would select the date and time column for Roy 3 for June 7, 2017. Please note that the start time and end time contains 11:56 p.m. since the biometric device is both an entry and exit device. Based upon our discussion regarding this exception, it was determined that the time displayed is the end time and the start time should be 10 a.m. The administrator would enter 10 a.m. in the start time and select Update Timesheet Information. The screen updated displayed. The administrator would select I am done to complete this exception resolution process. Once all exceptions have been resolved, a final payroll processed run should be initiated. Even though the payroll can be processed with exceptions such as the one discussed, the payroll amount for the employee who records their attendance data on biometric devices and has exceptions will be incorrect. It is critical that payroll exceptions be identified and corrected as soon as possible during the pay period to eliminate this possibility. The system also provides a report engine that allows you to be able to create and save custom employee and payroll reports. Selecting Employee and Payroll Reports will display a listing of CAN reports that are packaged in the HRMS. The HRMS also provides an ad hoc reporting capability by which the organization can create custom reports. For illustration purposes, we have listed 4 ad hoc reports that were created using the option Create a Report. This concludes the presentation of the payroll module with biometric integration within the Human Resources Management Administration system. Should you have any questions about this presentation, please contact your local account representative. Thank you for your interest in our payroll module with biometric integration.